Welcome back. Lucia Baez-Geller is a former Miami-Dade school board member who lost in her bid 2 years ago to oust Maria Elvira Salazar. This time around, she has her sights set on State Representative Fabian Basabe, who is currently facing a civil lawsuit by 2 of his male aides accusing him of sexual harassment. When Basabi first ran, he vowed to protect gay rights and abortion rights, and soon got to Tallahassee and, well, he abandoned both those positions. I asked Baez-Geller why she decided to challenge Basabi.
Well, Jim, I believe that I'm the type of leader that District 106 deserves, someone that's focused on bringing a better quality of life to the residents of 106. And I am laser focused on that, making sure that we're tackling the real issues right now going on: affordability, property insurance, making sure that there's someone there in Tallahassee speaking up and that represents the values of 106. And very much I am somebody that I believe that I can bring this type of leadership. We want someone that's going to protect the quality of life, protect the distinct uniqueness of District 106. And I believe that many of the things that Fabian Basabe has been doing in Tallahassee has been undermining the quality of life, undermining the uniqueness of our district, and undermining our values that we represent, that I know very well we represent. He also voted for Live Local, which is essentially another giveaway to developers. And so that's going to absolutely affect the quality of life. We're going to have more traffic, we're going to have more people, and it's going to really strip away at the uniqueness and what the preservation of our district, which is very important. He also voted to take away some of the restrictions that we had put in after Parkland, which was bipartisan legislation to prevent access to guns. And he voted to put guns back in the hands of teenagers. That's definitely against our values. And in this District 106, which voted overwhelmingly to remove the restrictions for abortion bans, 60% of the district voted to remove the restrictions. He took a walk and he hid like a coward, and he was not there. And so he's been rubber stamping a lot of policy for big companies, big developers, and that's not the values of our district.
So I think what you're referring to with regard to abortion is that when the state legislature was voting to lower the number of weeks to 6 weeks, to basically put a ban on abortions after 6 weeks, Basabe didn't vote. He basically went to his office. He said because, he blamed Democrats, oddly enough, saying that Democrats wouldn't agree to some compromise that he was proposing, but it was the Republican legislature that was driving the 6-week ban. Is that when you say he took a walk, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, that's exactly it. And this is a personal issue for me, Jim. Just 2 years ago, I needed medical services and that related to abortion care and for a baby that we really wanted. And now 2 years later, because of Fabian Basabe and other Republicans in Florida, that care is not available to myself or any other woman anymore. And we've seen the consequences of that in Florida and throughout the nation. And we don't need any more cowardly leadership. We need someone that is going to be here, be front and center. I have already represented District 106 as their school board member. I've had results, and I know that people know that I'm a woman of action, and I think they're going to be very happy for me to represent them in Tallahassee as well.
There is a view that says that it's better to have a Republican in that district because a Republican-led legislature, that person could be more effective in trying to bring dollars back home to the district. I think that's the argument that Fabian Basabe will make, is that he is someone who can bring money back to the district. How would you respond to that?
Well, we have not seen that in his leadership per se, but at the end of the day, I worked on a nonpartisan school board, which means that I had to work with people from all walks of life. And the school board was a conservative Republican majority when I was there. And I was able to pass legislation and work with people because at the end of the day, we do represent people from all backgrounds and all walks of life. And I've been able to show, coincidentally, that in many ways, I can work across the aisle. And I believe that that's what people want overwhelmingly, someone that's going to do the work. And instead of just being mired in scandal and just kind of bringing chaos to a world where we need someone that's going to lead us into the future and a better foot.
You think Basabi has become more of a distraction than an effective legislator?
Absolutely. I believe that we have allowed the scandals, the headlines. We've seen him make headlines for some of the worst reasons. I mean, criminal investigations, arrests, lawsuits. I mean, these are the types of things that right now do not help the residents of District 106 have a better life. It's a really disgraceful. And I think people know what I stand for and they're ready for real leadership. And I'm proud to be ready at the front line to serve and represent all of the residents of this district.
You talked before about how you served on the school board. What kind of a grade would you give Tallahassee and the legislature when it comes to education issues and even funding for public education in Florida?
Well, I was a pretty hard, tough grader for my students, so maybe I won't give a grade, but I will say a lot of what we're seeing in Florida with education essentially is siphoning off of our public tax dollars and our public monies to private for-profit companies, and the people that are suffering are our students and teachers, where right now our teacher pay is 50th in the nation. No matter what they say, we are not funding our schools enough to be able to resist the onslaught of attacks that we're getting from Tallahassee on public education. And it's really a shame. And we still have over 250,000 families in Miami-Dade that choose traditional public schools every single day. And a lot of what the legislation is doing in Tallahassee is just taking away funds. And we're seeing less and less and asking local entities to do more and more with very few dollars.
I think the issue comes down to the explosion in the voucher program. I remember when Jeb Bush proposed vouchers, it was designed to allow parents of kids from failing schools to be able to take the equivalent of what they would have gotten at a public school, and therefore then be able to take it to private schools that would accept the voucher. We now have a system in Florida where we have what's called a universal voucher system, which is any parent for any reason, whether they're in a failing school or not, no matter what their economic status is, can receive a voucher. And I think one of the offshoots of that we've seen is that parents of kids who were in private school are now getting vouchers to help defray the costs of keeping those kids in private schools. And there's even been some studies that suggest that the private schools are just simply raising their tuition, knowing that the parents can afford to pay more because of the state tax dollars being driven over. What could be done about that? Do you favor, for instance, means testing for vouchers? Do you favor eliminating vouchers entirely? Or how would you go about repairing or fixing the voucher system in Florida?
Well, I would say, as a parent myself now, raising my daughter here in District 106, I believe choosing a school and the proper education for your child is one of the most important decisions that someone will make in their life. I do, as an educator of 15 years, a school board member, it is very important to have choice. So I do believe in parental choice. What's important, though, is to have accountability and transparency. Right now, there is no way that we can track these voucher funds, where they're being used or how they're being used. And these are our public dollars that are supposed to be going to our traditional public schools. And so it's very important that we put the same energy that we're putting into vouchers into our traditional public schools. These two systems should not be in competition. We should not be siphoning off from the public education system, because these monies for vouchers are going to private entities that once they go in there, we do not know where that money is going or how it's being used. And so people should be informed. There should be accountability, transparency. There should be a dashboard. We should know how our dollars are being spent and what these entities are doing with it. And at the same time, not put it in competition, because as you well know now, our school district has really, I believe, little to no failing schools. And so we want to make sure that when these dollars that are supposed to go to public schools are being given away, where are they given to and why?
We'll be right back after the break.